So Batman Dark Patterns continues to be an amazing miniseries out of DC, and as we cover issue 2 here, I think you're going to understand why. So this issue opens up with Batman bringing his revelation of the Wound Man idea to Jim Gordon, and Gordon immediately asks, "So do you know who he is?" "Not yet, but you know who he's going to go after next?" "Yes." "So you say there's a list. We need to get all the targets into protective custody right now." Batman then interjects with something a little bit controversial. "Then we won't know what the Wound Man is going to do next. As long as we know people in the list are out there, we know who he's going to hunt, which means we'll know where he's going to be. We need to draw him out while we still can. We need the ability to predict his actions. If we take away the list, he'll just target somebody else." Gordon starts smoking from a pipe. Dr. Sarika's examining the bodies at his lab. He's confident that he can draw out clues to this sicko's identity, but Batman still disapproves. "The fool pathologist with the formaldehyde habit? You can't trust his work, Gordon. Even if he was any good, it would take too long. I'm not risking citizens' lives. Neither am I. I'll be there. I'm prepared." "That's not good enough. Did you pull the records I asked for?" "Yes. The private security you demolished at Smith & Oakley are being paid for by Ace Chemicals. Smith & Oakley have represented them in a number of suits over the decades. They're protecting their corporate interests." "Maybe," Batman says, before gliding off the building. "Or they're covering something up." And then to finish this opening, we get kind of a similar stretch of narration from Batman as we saw in the first issue. He kind of summarizes what's going on in the city tonight. "There's another fire in Gotham City tonight," he says. "Smoke rises somewhere in the vicinity of Gotham General Hospital. In Newtown, someone has been taping razor blades under car door handles, seemingly at random. Over the police scanner, 2 officers celebrate the capture of the thief who's been stealing pets in the Narrows. They apparently found him stitching the wings of a pigeon onto a labradoodle, trying to create an animal who could survive Gotham's streets. And I am standing on a rooftop watching a man attempt to drink himself to death." And we see this man he's observing waddling out drunkenly onto the sidewalk from a bar, and Batman continues, "The Wound Man's first victim, Francis Oakley, the lawyer, helped convict Randall Jones here for assault after he strangled a coworker at his stock exchange's Christmas party. The woman survived, but Jones had a wife and daughters who were not waiting for him when he was released from Blackgate, and we see Batman watching him from his binoculars. Jones lives alone, wearing a groove into the street between his apartment and the bar across the street. He's next on the Wound Man's list, and though it's not my place to say, he might be the first one to deserve what's coming to him. That is, if I weren't here to save him." And terrifyingly, we see the Wound Man crawling up a drain pipe of his apartment building, going up multiple stories, opening the unlocked window and crawling in, immediately giving his monologue like we saw in the first issue. "It hurts, doesn't it, Randall Jones? Every night you cry, and the wounds never close. Let me feel it with you." But luckily for Randall, Batman is already there, waiting for the Wound Man, and grabbing him by the chin, trying not to hurt him, saying, "I know what you're doing, what you think you're doing. I know you think you're helping these men, taking away their loneliness. You think you're a healer. You're not. It ends now. You know as well as I do that you could die if I hit you. Do not make me hurt you." And the Wound Man pushes him away. "Hurt me? Please. Please hurt me." And he swings at Batman and misses. "Stop," Batman says. "Hurt me. I didn't want it to come to this," Batman thinks to himself, pulling a canister out of his utility belt. "TV and comic books have misled people about knockout toxins. It's never as easy as a rag over the mouth or a dart from a rifle that puts the victim to sleep in seconds. It's far riskier," which, side note, is pretty funny because I'm pretty sure Batman has done both of those things, but whatever. And we see Batman hit him with this pink gas from this canister, continuing his monologue saying, "A dosage of chloroform needs to be carefully calibrated to the subject's body weight and lung capacity. A slight miscommunication and you risk death from a seizure or heart failure." And we see the Wound Man start to stumble back, grabbing his head before falling to the ground. "Damn it," Batman says. "I only had one encounter with him, so I had to eyeball the dosage. I didn't want it to come to this. Stay with me," he tells him. "I'm gonna get you to the hospital." And just as Randall Jones is coming home, unlocking his door, Batman takes the Wound Man and storms out the front door, passing him, saying, "Move!" And Jones just watches from up above as they go down the stairs, so drunk that he's not even sure if he's seeing what he's seeing. He goes inside to go to sleep. This fucking city. And as the Wound Man is struggling for survival in the passenger seat of the Batmobile, Batman says, "Listen, does Ace Chemicals mean anything to you?" The Wound Man says nothing, but mumbles out, "Still doesn't hurt." But what Batman sees next changes the plan entirely. "Oh, for God's sake, I was wrong. The fire tonight isn't in the vicinity of Gotham General Hospital. It is the hospital that's on fire." And now Batman is met with a choice. Does he save the Wound Man's life, or does he help evacuate the hospital that's been burning for hours at this point? He swerves at the wheel, turning the car around, saying, "I wasn't paying enough attention. But that means first responders are definitely on the case already, working to get people out. I have someone who needs immediate help in my care right now. I need to take him somewhere else, somewhere close, with medical equipment." And he realizes what this means and where he has to take him, and cringes. Batman and the Wound Man storm through the front doors of Dr. Sarika's quiet lab at Gotham University, saying, "Dr. Sarika, save this man's life." "Golly," Sarika says. Remember, Dr. Sarika is not a doctor, he's a medical examiner, so this is a little out of his expertise. And he says, "You know, usually I only deal with the bodies after they're dead. Can you do it?" Batman asks. "Let's hope so. He's in cardiac arrest. You hit him with something nasty, I assume. Here, massage his heart. If you can get through without touching any of those spikes piercing through his chest, it might help." He grabs a first aid kit off the wall, saying he's going to need an injection of adrenaline. At least we can assume that he's not going to be squeamish about the needles. And after Sarika injects him, we see the Wound Man jolt awake for a second and then lie back down, non-responsive. His heart appears to be beating, so that's a start. We mustn't move him until he's stable. Hearing this, Batman starts to act fast, pulls out a pair of handcuffs, and traps the Wound Man on the table. Good. Call Gordon and tell him what happened here. We need to question him as soon as he wakes up. Where are you going? To find out who made him. And why. We then jump to an office where a man is greeting the gargoyle above the door, saying, "How's it going, Frankie? Never a dull moment, huh? I still got 1,000 words of crap to knock out by the morning edition, so I figured enough caffeine and sugar to make me throw up or die was in order. Anyway, good talk. Stay vigilant for us. It's crazy out there." He then walks into his office where Batman is waiting for him. "Nikki Harris," he says. "Ooh, the Batman of Gotham. Been a minute since you came to me for that Killer Croc in the sewers case. Heard you caught him. Bravo. You finally read my article on you? You claimed I was a vampire from Eastern Europe. You're fomenting fear in this town for a cent a word." Fear? Oh, Batman, this city is built on a foundation of myth. All these scared people who come from all over the world seeking the promised land of prosperity. They get to Gotham to find no jobs, inflation through the roof, and a clown trying to poison the water supply. No wonder we cling to old stories from our old lands. They make more sense than today, the current state of Gotham. These people pray for superstitions to save them, because no one else has. 2 years ago, you attempted an expose on Ace Chemicals. You ended up getting fired from the Gazette for milling out conspiracy theories for the tabloids. The big boys of pharmaceuticals got wind and sicked their lawyers on me hard. Ruined me in a matter of days. Not that I'd found too much to begin with. So, you've realized they're very good at scrubbing their prints from any kind of public record. Otherwise, you'd be talking to the cops, not me. A lot of skeletons in those vanished closets. Any particular bones you're looking for? I need everything you have on anesthetics and nerve agents. Nothing you'll find in any modern database, though I'm sure you've checked. Always harder to scrub old paper files, though, particularly ones that have already fallen into unauthorized hands, like mine. Cryoxin, Batman says, looking over the files. It's a liquid inhibitor they were developing on a government contract, one that disappeared from all records without a trace a decade and a half ago. That document is the only evidence I've ever found that this chemical existed. Well, something went wrong, and they made a monster. Maybe. Or maybe it was just so nasty that it violated Geneva Conventions. That can spook even Uncle Sam sometimes, you know. So what happened to it, the chemical itself? No one knows, but I might have a theory. Have you ever heard of the town without screams? We then see the Wound Man back at Sarika's lab, waking up, and he greets him. "Ah, you're awake. Batman asked me to notify the police that you were here, but you're a doctor, aren't you? It's apparent from the wounds you inflict upon yourself. You have to know it, and to know it, you have to be somebody who knows it. So I figured, what if I took the opportunity to speak to you myself first, doctor to doctor? I'd love to understand you. This, what you've done to yourself, it's remarkable. I'm guessing it was an attempt to channel the pain you can no longer feel, the suffering building up inside. You need an outlet, and it didn't work." He sits down, folds his hands into each other, and closes his eyes. "There's a reason they say doctors make the worst patients. We like to think that we're always objective, even when it comes to ourselves, but that's not the truth. When we're suffering, instinct takes over. We panic, we want it to stop. We lunge after solving the symptoms. We want to take care of it ourselves. We forget that to cure, we need to get to the root cause." We then jump back to Batman in the Batmobile talking to Gordon. "Jim, is the Wound Man awake?" "What? What are you talking about? You found him?" "Sarika, you idiot. He was meant to call you. You left that maniac alone with the pathologist?" "Long story. He's cuffed, unconscious. I'll send a team to collect him. I'm about to walk into an emergency meeting with the mayor. At least I can give him some good news. It was Ace Chemicals. They created the Wound Man. They might have created more. You got proof? I'm working on it." Heading out of town, we then see Jim enter this meeting with the mayor. "Commissioner Gordon. Mr. Mayor, listen, I know this murder case got complicated, but the suspect has been apprehended. He's at the pathology lab in Gotham U. That's wonderful news, Commissioner. I was just about to introduce you to a concerned citizen, an old associate of mine. We were discussing how it may be prudent to close this case in a way that's, clean and quiet for all of us." And we see a man enter the room in a tuxedo with a fedora. "Commissioner, fantastic work. My name is Christopher Sionis, CEO and senior partner at Axis Corp. You may have heard of some of the subsidiaries that we operate in Gotham, like Janus Cosmetics and..." Gordon cuts him off. Ace Chemicals. And with a smirk, Sionis says, "So you've heard of us." We cut back to Batman walking through the suburbs, with everyone standing on their lawns just looking at him, and we get some narration from him saying, "Upstate Gotham, insulated from the sickness of the city by miles. I find little cause to visit here often. A place where good living and moderate wealth are taken for granted, where suburban happiness is promised and purportedly found, but not here. Not in the planned community of green fields, which last year the tabloids dubbed the town without screams. A few page 8 stories of abnormalities which were refuted and promptly dismissed. Calls for help that were ignored. Myths that found their way into the city that fell on deaf ears. Now the people of Gotham call for superstitions to save them because no one else has." And he looks up at this abandoned house with planks of wood propped up and nailed to the side, finding yet another drawing of the Wound Man in blood with the words "Wound Man heal us" written over the top of it. Back at Zarika's lab, he's still tending to the Wound Man before hearing someone outside saying, "Hello? Is someone out there? Who's there?" Two intruders with black masks, a baton and a pistol charge through the doors, saying, "Take him." Zarika backs up in panic, saying, "Stop it, you can't," before being knocked out with the baton. And these henchmen, seemingly of Sionis and Ace Chemicals, work to retrieve their creation, the Wound Man. Now, why he was created by them, why this all happened, how and why they want to use him so badly and take him back is still yet to be answered, but this mystery is developing so nicely, and I think someone in my comments said this was so great because it felt like a Bronze Age story, something that you would find in like the mid-80s or something like that. Like, in my opinion, prime Batman. And I agree. I absolutely agree. This is a great story so far. 2 issues in, and I'm just so enthralled. Weird, disturbing cases like this are so exciting. It's where Batman thrives. And I think that this creative team is doing such a nice job with it. The handling of the characters. It's so interesting. It's so unique, but so familiar. It hits all the right notes, and I love it so much. So let me know if you want me to continue covering this story. If you like it just as much as I do, make sure to leave a like on this video so I know. Subscribe if you haven't already. That is the video. Thank you for watching.